So in the last 2.5 years, we've done over $20 million in revenue for trading communities, all on Whop. And in this video, I'm going to show you pretty much 5 plays that we plug in with every single trading community that we have ever worked with to actually scale them to 100K per month and even more than that in some certain cases. And this will, I'll say this all works on Whop, but this will work whether you're on Kajabi, whether you're on School, whether you're on a Go High Level, whatever really platform. It'll all work the same as long as you still have email lists. And these are all plays you can plug in regardless. But this may be the difference between going from like 2K a month to 20K a month. And if you're at 20K a month, you could plug this in and instantly blow up. And this is what we do for a lot of our clients. So as you can see here, this is actually my Whop balance as of like yesterday. So across all of our Whops, for some reason, we have like 405 sitting in the balance, 405K sitting in the balance. I guess people don't want to pull it out for like tax purposes or something. But I will say, if you zoom in here, it says that we've earned 5.5 million on Whop throughout our lifetime. It's actually well over 20 million by this point. It's just that we run a 12-month program with a guarantee. So a lot of our Discords that leave the 12-month program and we work with them on other stuff, obviously we don't have access to those anymore. So it's only going to show the Whops that we have access to now. If you don't know who I am, my name is Andy Pham. I work alongside my business partner Louis Ban. He's also on this channel, the British guy, long hair, glasses, etc. But again, we've done over $20 million in revenue for trading communities specifically. And I will say, like, these aren't just like a list of random tactics. These kind of all tie in together. And these are all things you should be doing constantly. These aren't just like random one-off things that you can try. I mean, some of them are, but they will all at least make you a ton of money within the next month or two. Like, honestly, if you watch this video, you have it on it, you have a trading community, and you don't plug in any of this, you are genuinely leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table. All right. But if you plug in all 5 of these, which is what we do for pretty much every single client, you will make much more money than you are right now. So I'll walk you through pretty much 5 plays. So one, the 7-day free trial engine. We've already talked about this in other videos. If you haven't watched our other videos and this is your first one, welcome. But obviously, every single one of these, we have been plugging in across 2026. We've done a ton of revenue this year, especially this is one of the new ones. And there have been so many new options with this that I absolutely had to include in this video. And like, if you were waiting for one thing, like if your community is especially bigger, if you're at like 20, 30, 40, 50K a month, this one thing, plugging it in, as well as if you don't even have a high ticket in the first place, plugging it in could take you well over 100K per month pretty much instantly. And especially the month you launch, the month we launch for some of our clients, we've done over $250,000 in some high ticket launches. All right, so stick around for that. All right, and so let's go over basics. So the first play that we pretty much ever plug in for everyone is a 7-day free trial, and I actually want to show you first. I'm going to switch over to this. Hopefully you can see it. Let me hide the browser. But basically, we plug this in, and this still works to this day. And I will say this is just one part of the funnel, but. So we plugged this in for someone who he was at like 2K MRR or something like that. He had 2,000 free members in the Discord, just like he wasn't getting very many conversions. So pretty much we launched this, and literally within about, well, literally 7 days after we launched it, he pretty much jumped from about like 17.99 to a little bit higher, and then he hit 16K within literally like 14 days, right? So the conversion rate on those were like pretty decent. Generally look for around 20-30%, but we had over 100. We converted 21, and obviously at the time there were some that were still going, so the conversion rate wasn't exactly finalized. Again, this was only like 9 days ago, just to prove that this still works. But yeah, out of 100, it looks like the conversion rate so far had been around like 22-23%. But yeah, MRR was absolutely exploding, and again, this was after only like 14 days. He's gonna absolutely keep just exploding. All right. And then I'm gonna skip that because obviously that's not very useful. But so now if we're wondering behind the theory, or if we're wondering about the theory behind it, right? So a lot of you guys, what you guys are doing right now, you guys are getting traffic from social media, like Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is. And a lot of you guys are sending people either straight to a free Discord, which is slightly better, but a lot of you guys are literally just putting a Whop checkout link in your bio and just hoping people pay after seeing like maybe one reel of you, right? So if you watch a lot of our other videos, there's something Google studied and they created a rule around it called the 7-11-4 rule. So what that means is, on average, in order to turn someone who sees you for the first time ever on social media to a paying customer, and again, this is a study they did across hundreds of thousands of internet business, across billions of data points. And they found on average, they need to engage with 7 hours of content across 11 different touch points in 4 different locations. On average, to convert into a paying customer, right? So if they're seeing like 1 minute of you on a short form, unless it's the greatest, highest converting short form reel of literally all time, like you're better than Hormozy, you're better than Alex Becker, you're better than literally the greatest marketers in the world, you're probably not going to be converting at the highest rates. All right. So what the 7-day free trial does, and again, I still wouldn't put this in your bio, but what this kind of does is get your foot in the door, right? So especially if they've been seeing you for a while, and if you watch our other videos, you know, like we do email automation, we have a certain way we set up the Discord to actually help convert these guys. But if they've seen you for a while, they're in your Discord, they're getting your emails, they know about your unique mechanism, they're really, really sold on your brand and the way you trade, a 7-day free trial is what we call a Godfather offer, like something you'd feel stupid saying no to. Like a lot of our guys sell live trading, for example. Like, what do you mean I get to live trade with you 7 days completely for free, and all I gotta do is put in my credit card, right? And as long as your product is actually good and it literally doesn't make them cancel, the friction on them converting is super, super low. They literally have to do nothing. There's no friction, except obviously don't go broke and have money in your bank account. And again, like I showed you, this is something where if you have a ton of members who aren't converting, who you haven't really offered much to, and especially if you don't have their emails, which we'll go through in a second. But launching some sort of Godfather offer, and it doesn't have to be a 7-day. In fact, the next play is actually going to be something very, very similar. You can convert a lot of those free members, and especially people who are like on the fence, you can get them very, very quickly over the fence and absolutely explode your revenue super, super quickly as well. Obviously, it's quite important that you actually have the correct marketing systems in place in the first place to not only collect the leads to be able to offer them this in the first place, but to offer this to people who actually trust you and are sold on your brand. And as a quick side note, if you're wondering why we do 7 days and not something like a 3-day, which is very, very common, a big thing we found with 7 days is that we actually just get more free trials in general, because a lot of the times people will make decisions very, very quickly. They'll be like impulse decisions, especially after watching a piece of your content that really, really resonated with them. So the thing with a 7-day is that regardless of what day of the week you actually claim the trial, you get 5 trading days, except for bank holidays and other bollocks. But with a 3-day, for example, if they see you on Friday, they damn well are not going to convert on a 3-day, on a Friday, on a Saturday, something like that, because their 3 days get cut by the weekend, right? So that's why we find 7 days to have the highest total output compared to a 3-day. But regardless, let's move on. All right, but let's go over. So let's go over basically bundle ups, right? So this is basically like value stacking your offer just to make your offer stronger and to convert a lot of the free guys, whatever, people in your email list, people in your Discord, etc. And so this is super, super useful, especially if you're running paid traffic. Like if you're running paid traffic to get people to a lead magnet or get people into your high ticket, but a lot of the low unqualified people are just ending up in your free Discord, ending up in your low ticket, whatever, if as long as you have a downsell. And this is super, super useful to basically just explode your ROAS so that you can scale quicker. Or at least if you know, like based on the calculations, okay, like on the cold traffic leads, my LTV is going to be this. This is a very, very easy way to pull it forward basically at a slight discount. Yeah, like 80, 90 cents on the dollar, so that you can actually scale that quicker. All right. Or if you just need quick cash, who knows? Maybe you're like, your grandma fell, needs a hip replacement. Who fucking cares? If you do have people in your list or your community, or even people who like, are pretty much on the fence and you want to convert them, you can pretty much bundle like what we did for Dodgy, for example, is we bundled up like 3 months of his subscription along with something like an exclusive course. So he had this IFG exclusive course, which by the way, like if you're going to do a course, maybe you can do stuff like indicator access, or it doesn't have to be a course. A big thing with the course actually is that if you search up like Dodgy's DD IFG exclusive course, or I forget what it was called, it was like IFG something, people just, it was $239, people sell it for like at $5, right? So your courses will get stolen, especially if you have a bit of a bigger brand. You don't really have to worry about that, but you can do stuff that is not a course as well if that irks you. But so if you want to pull your LTV forward, or even get people on like a quarterly, because that'll bring you higher LTV. For example, if you're on like if you have like a $199 a month or like a $299 a month, and people generally churn after like 1-2 months, like your churn's like 33-50% area, then what you can do is you can bundle up 3 months at a slight discount. So maybe if they buy 3 months, it's like 150 or even cheaper than that, so that your LTV is just like higher than whatever it would be, and you can bundle it along with something that doesn't cost you anything. The nice thing about info is that you pretty much have infinite margins. Like, it costs you nothing to give people access to your indicator, it costs nothing to give people access to your course. Even if you did something like group calls, that doesn't really cost you anything except time, right? So you get more of your members from a monthly to a quarterly plan, increase your LTV, or you can even convert a lot of the free members who are like on the fence by doing a bundle like this, like having a 3 month. And if you have like a 99 a month subscription, then you could do a 3 month. That's pretty much like $297 in value. You can add the exclusive course in. Let's say it's sold for like $239. So you can kind of value stack that, like you get $539 and you sell it for, let's say, like a massive discount, like a discount on the monthly, for example. Like, instead of paying 99 a month for 3 months for 297, you get to pay like 200 or like 250 for the 3 months along with this massive bonus. And it's just, you value stack, you bundle it up, pull your LTV forward. And there are certain cases in which where you may have a more expensive membership where your LTV is still within KPI, just 3 month would actually increase your LTV versus having them just churn after 1-2 months, right? Something like that. And this is actually something we did with Dodgy, which actually, when we had him like right under the 100K mark, this is what actually just got him over there in like a week. It added like 30K MRR, which was kind of crazy. And we did something like 230K in gross revenue just in that month, when the average before had been like 70-80K, because he was at like 73K MRR. We have a full video on this, so if you want to take a look at that case study, it's actually quite old. You can look back in our YouTube videos, just maybe search like Business Grower Dodgy CD, you'll find it, and I won't tag it. All right, now this is a lever in which like this is really only useful if you actually already have monthly recurring revenue. And this is something specifically for the mentorship, because what this is this going to be a churn win back sequence, or just some sort of system for churn win back. And I'll show you how to actually do this on Whop. So I'll switch to the desktop so that I can actually show you, but this is super simple. So the theory behind this is like, someone who's bought your product, unless they're genuinely just there, like literally just trying it, they really like, they want the product, right? They know you, they tried it, something either got in the way, like either it's financial, or either they're not getting the actual value that they thought, or maybe they just gave up for some specific reason. Like a lot of our clients as well, as long as it's framed as education, people tend to stay for longer. And a big thing about framing it as education is because if they're not making money within the first 3 months, really they should stay, because the point is to actually be learning and to become profitable in the long term over time, right? So it's super easy. So when someone cancels, not only do we send them an email sequence, but there's also stuff on Whop that you can do pretty much directly. And I'll show you how to do this, but this is something like a win back discount. You can reframe it. And this is something we do in the email sequences. Obviously you can't do this on Whop, but something like 50% off the first month, or 50% off like the first 3 months, something crazy. Basically just to rehook them back into the buying loop. And this is super strong, not just because you get them back on the mentorship, but because this keeps them sold in a unique mechanism. And then down the line, they can upsell or cross-sell to your indicator, to your course, to your high ticket, whatever it is down the line. So this actually saves a ton more LTV than you'd initially expect, just by keeping them on the membership in the first place, right? And that's kind of why we run this model. But super easy. So for example, let's swap to the desktop. So let me switch scenes here on OBS. And so look at this. So something like this, for example. So this is Simon Dalo's product. And so on the paid access, like this is what most people are on. And what you can do is you can plan settings here, offer discount on cancellation. And so how this will look is when someone actually goes into their Whop, looks to cancel the product, like hits the cancel button, it'll pop up like, after they cancel, like, hey, like, do you want to stay? And you'll get 50% off your first payment, whatever it is, on your next payment, etc. And then what we do as well is we have a Zapier automation that basically, let me switch back scenes. We have a Zapier automation that will basically see the person. It'll be like failed payment or left the product, and it'll tag the person in GHL, and obviously tagging that person in our software will actually send them the email automation that reframes them, offers them more win-back discounts over time. It's like a 7-day sequence. And then obviously, since they're in the list, you can hit them over and over with certain blasts down the line, like if you do a blast every week or even newsletters, whatever it is, then get hit by that and then eventually come back onto your product, right? But yeah, this is a super, super simple one, but I will say it is deceptively strong, especially if you actually have your product suite dialed. And if you don't have one dialed, we have videos on how to do that as well. So you can check out our YouTube channel for that. It'll probably be one of them in the description. All right, now play number 4. So this one is absolutely fucking broken, honestly. This is the number one thing we do for people even starting from brand, like just from scratch. This is something we did with invisibility to take it from 2K to 16K a month, like pretty much damn near instantly within like 2 weeks. And this is always one of the core plays that we do. This is in like every single one of our videos, but there's a certain few hacks that a lot of people who are kind of already established just don't really have the systems in place. Like these are plays you can instantly plug in to like just spawn an email list, stuff like that, right? So let's actually go through how to do it. So obviously, if you haven't watched any of our other videos, there's going to be a video I'm going to CTA to at the end of this that's basically going to break down the entire process we actually plug in for our done for you clients to scale them to over 100K a month, and this is always one of them. But there's so much stuff you can do with email. There's so much stuff you can do with email automations. There's so many ways you can get people sold in a unique mechanism on your brand, convert them through long form, even through the email. So this is always something super, super OP. And like I mentioned earlier with the 711 this is going to be another platform that people will actually engage with the brand on and possibly end up purchasing from. In fact, YouTube is our largest attributed last touch. So what that means, like we have Hires, for example, so we can kind of see like literally all of the leads, especially through ads. We can basically see like everywhere they click, what they actually like, how they first entered our funnel, how they opted in, and then what's the last thing that they saw or touched before they actually bought. So YouTube tends to be the last thing. Like people will see you on social media, they'll join your Discord, they'll see your emails, they'll click a YouTube link in an email or in the Discord or whatever, and then in the YouTube there might be a CTA to the free trial, and that's where most of our last touches come from. So people are generally on the YouTube before they actually buy. Especially for us, we've generated hundreds of thousands off our YouTube alone, and a lot of these are from videos. Like we just got, like, in the last 3 months we've probably made over 100K from videos I made like 2 years ago or like a year ago, right? So shit's very, very OP, especially with email. Email is like another multiplier on top of it. So let's go over how to actually create a list from your Whop if you don't already have one. All right. So obviously, let's go to the other scene. So this shit, like for example, if we're on, we can go to users, and all of these guys, this is the super simple one. All of these guys are emails you already have. So if you have a free Discord and you have whatever people joining through Whop, if you have these users on Whop, these are all emails you can save. So these are users you can export. You hit export, it's gonna crunch, it's gonna email you the list. It may also put it here, so it may just instantly download it, and then you can upload this into literally any email platform. So we personally use GHL. We have our own version of it with templates and everything that we give our clients. Yeah, so just downloaded the CSV, and if you'll see, like if I open a notepad, just for example, like they all have emails in here. Bless Nick. Yeah, they'll have emails in here, and when you add this to your mail thing, it'll make you map it. In fact, let me see if I can show you guys an example. All right, so let's go. It's Simon contacts. So what it'll do is you can go into here, you can go into MailChimp, you can be on ConvertKit. I don't like ConvertKit personally, but you can, whatever email platform you're using, you can do this. So just import next, you upload this CSV, and then it's going to look like create update contacts. So if they already exist, it won't duplicate them. But yeah, so then you just map these. So obviously this one, don't map to anything. Definitely do not map it to contact ID. But like, for example, name, you put a name, email, and then you just don't import next, and then bang, you have them in here. And then as long as you actually have consent, so there's some sort of legality behind this, just put in your terms of service here. So when people actually join, they agree to actually receive emails from you. That way you can't ever get fucked by the SEC, right? But stuff like that, as well as inside the Discord. Okay. As well as inside the Discord, like you can have, for example, like free resources or even whatever it is. Like I would show you an example in our client server, but it's easier if I just do our server, for example. Let's see. So like for in our community, for example, we literally have a lead magnet list. So like you can just have it in here, and then what you can do is you have a ton of people in the free Discord. You can send them out to an opt-in page where they'll put in their name, put in their email, and in the vice versa. If you actually don't have a ton of people in the Discord, but you're getting a ton of leads, just from these 4 plays alone, before we move on to the next one. All right. And so honestly, literally, this is probably the biggest thing you can do as long as you have enough lead flow for it, is just launching a high ticket and fucking setting up financing with Whop. And this can be a high ticket or any other upsell. Like, and when I say high ticket, I mean like pretty much expensive ass shit. Especially for like the general audience. Obviously, like 12K isn't very, very expensive, especially to ideally the people watching this. Like, ideally, you guys are making like 10, 20, 30K a month trading, whatever it is. Yeah, it probably isn't a lot to you guys, but high ticket for the majority of people would probably be like 4, 5K or more, right? So a big thing with launching a high ticket, and a lot of you guys are concerned about this, but if you're like 20, 30K a month, you probably have enough leads to run this very, very sustainably. And obviously, like, even if you're smaller, you can do launches in like cohorts and stuff. But if you do not have one yet, I probably wouldn't launch one if you're like minuscule, just because you genuinely won't have the leads and you won't have the system to have actually built the trust and have enough social proof to be able to sell a high ticket at something actually worth your time. But if you do, and you can set it up to actually be like a sustainable high ticket, like you're not spending one-on-one time with these guys every single fucking day for hours a day, that just burns into your time, makes your trading worse, whatever it is, this can be ultra worth it and almost double your revenue, if not double, triple your revenue, right? And for when we launch this with a lot of clients, like the first month is absolutely insane. Like, we can do multi 6 figures the first month, then it slowly dips off, and then we generally end up, depending on the lead flow, the lead quality, the audience demographic, stuff like that, it can be very, very lucrative. And a big thing with this that you can do with Whop is there's always financing. And the way financing works, this is insane. With Whop financing, there's something called like Split It, you have Clarity Play, you got Klarna, and you're probably quite familiar with Klarna. But the way this works is that even Split It, like some of these have 0% APR options. So you can have people like, for example, I do have an example here. Like, if you're selling a $12,000 product, a lot of these guys who maybe lost like tens of thousands on prop firms, like trying to learn how to trade, they probably won't be able to drop 12K up front, right? Just as an example. Obviously, your program may be cheaper, may be more expensive, whatever it is. But with Whop financing, for example, and I choose 12 just to make it easy. With Split It, for example, let's see. I'll show you because we have it. So like, if you go into your settings on Whop, and then you go to payments, you'll have financing here, and it's gone for us because we already applied and got approved. But you're just gonna have to do your company, know your business, and then you can apply for financing here, and this will give you access to like Sezzle, Klarna, Split It, Clarity Pay, whatever it is. Clarity Pay is great. You can split over like 36 months. The approval rates are great. But with Split It, for example, what you can do is split it across 12 months on a credit card, no APR. So we do this ourselves. Like, this is a great product even for us. Like, we paid closes.io, I think it was like 16K. We split it to like 1333 a month or something similar to that. Over 12 months, 0% APR. So they get the money up front. When we do split it for our clients, some of our top clients literally did this. They just paid like how much ever a month, and we get that fully upfront, except for the small reserve that they hold. I think Split It at the moment, they must hold like a 15% reserve or something like that, and then they'll charge a pretty hefty fee. But that's better than losing the deal. Like, let's say you did sell a 12K program, it's better to collect like 10 10K $500 after the reserve or something like that. The reserve probably is like, I think it would be like 8,400 you get up front, and then the reserve you get like 1,500 or 2K, whatever it is, in about like 6 months or whatever the Split It reserve is. But that's better than losing the deal, right? And it makes it super, super easy for their client, because you're selling a 12K program, they get 12K of program value up front, and they just pay 1K, right? So options like that, you got Clarity Pay, which doesn't actually hold a reserve. You got Klarna, which doesn't hold a reserve. Klarna APR is kind of ridiculous, so it's going to be like 30%. But like, this is super, super OP. And this is something that Whop does really, really well. I know Fanbasis has it as well. There are a lot of platforms that offer this, but Whop tends to be the greatest for us. They got Split It, they got Clarity Pay. Clarity Pay is great too. Just connects straight to your bank account, just grabs from that, checks your credit score. You get pre-qualified, so it doesn't hit their credit until they actually um, finish the plan. But yeah, this is great. Like literally half of our revenue and a lot of our clients' high ticket revenue ends up coming from this. And I would show you, but I'd probably dox a lot of people. So with their card info and shit. So I will say this is absolutely insane. If you're looking for actually how to set up high tickets, whether it's worth it for you, and whether you should only do high ticket or only do low ticket, I'm gonna link that video in the description because me and Louis had a great discussion about it back when we were in Vietnam last year. But yeah, especially with financing, this can be a very, very lucrative option. And if you have a high ticket and you don't have financing set up on it, you're likely losing out like at least 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50% of your revenue. You're just leaving it on the table because you simply don't have these options. Like, especially if you're tracking your sales calls or you have a closer, like you're at a point where the lead flow is good enough to where you can actually pay a sales team to work on your offer full time. You may hear complaints like, oh, yeah, this guy was so bought in, absolutely wanted to do it 100%. His card just failed and he just genuinely did not have the funds. Financing solved those issues, and you're able to help change these people's lives, even at a lower upfront cost to them, and make it workable for them, right? So I think financing is great. I don't understand how 0% APR works. I don't understand how any bank makes money on that or whatever. It must just be so that like, it must be like a loss leader so that you go use them again and actually pay interest on a different plan, whatever it is. I don't know. But, take advantage of it while you can on the buyer side, on the seller side, whatever it is. Just don't fuck up your credit. But yeah, honestly, if you've actually watched this video, I do expect you to make at least an extra 10, 20, 30. And if your community is a decent size, even an extra 100,000, literally just from watching these videos and plugging it in. Like these are very, 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 very fucking simple tactics that you can plug in just to print money, right? And so I will say, like, the growth is generally exponential, especially when you plug in the email lists and you actually have these email automations that go through and feed your YouTube and feed your Discord, and you generally like build that cult-like community, that cult-like audience that we all fucking strive to have through the branding and through the unique mechanism and through the content that you actually put out there. But I will say, like, the MRR and your gross revenue, especially after every single one of these, it's gonna be flat, and then it's gonna jump, then it's gonna jump, it's gonna jump, it's gonna be like staircases, right? Especially if you plug in one of these bundle stacking, or if you what's it called, if you do bundle ups, just because those generally, when you pull people to quarterly, obviously it's just gonna be like and then it might flatten out until you plug in something else, right? So these are like little money models you can plug in, will absolutely make you a ton of money. But if you actually want to grow, you're actually going to need to have a system in place to acquire leads, to convert them, and then keep them for a long time and make the most amount of money from them as possible. So if you're looking for the actual real system and not a lot of just like kind of just tactics you could plug in, and you want to scale like super, super long term, then I've actually made a full video. It's going to be the first link in the description. But there's a full breakdown of the exact process that we've actually used in our done for you clients' businesses to get over $20 million in revenue generated for them just in the last 2.5 years. And again, this is only for training communities, specifically for this niche. And again, it's just a 35-minute video, but I'm actually able, since I have the full presentation, I literally spent like a month prepping that. I'm going to walk you through the entire process, the 7-Eleven 4 trust principle that I talked about in this video, how we implement lead magnets, HVCOs, how we actually build omnipresence, like kind of that system to actually convert and build that cult-like audience that we just talked about, and the full breakdown of how we actually guarantee our done-for-you clients added monthly revenue, or they get a full refund and an extra grand. So if you're interested in how that works, then that's going to be fully broken down in that video. That's going to be the first link in the description. It's probably also like, I guess, let me figure out which way I'm pointing. It's going to be like right there as well, right now. So if you want to watch that video, it's going to make you a ton of money as well. Hopefully this video made you a ton of money, and the rest of our YouTube videos will make you a ton of money. So if you watch this, awesome fucking work. You're probably going to print. Go watch that video as well, on that side, and then keep making money.